All right, guys, welcome to episode number 10 of Bus Stop Blogs, where each week I give you a rundown of what we've been up to at the Iron Yard. We are getting deeper into React. It's been pretty fun. So if you're not familiar with React, it's basically a front-end JavaScript framework that allows you to make powerful single-page applications. They basically appear to be multi-page, but it's actually one single page that reacts to the client's responses very quickly. And so one of the ways that it does that is it uses something called the virtual DOM. And so if you're familiar with what the real DOM is, it's the document object model. It's basically like the structure of the page. And so the virtual DOM kind of sits on top of the DOM, and it compares, it looks for differences between the two, and then only updates what is different. So it doesn't re-render the whole page because that's slow. It only re-renders the changes. So it makes it really fast. Facebook wrote React. They use it for a whole lot of their site. And so it's pretty cool. We've been kind of getting into, as far as like what we've been doing in React, there's this concept of state. And so the state is sort of how React knows to look for a change in the virtual DOM. And so there's this, React is basically made up of a bunch of different components, and there are parent components and child components, and basically things get passed down from the parent to the child. I think I explained some of this last week, but every time that state changes, then there's a re-render of the different components, and things change with what gets rendered based on the state. Everything comes down to state. And so it's pretty cool trying to manage state, because of the way it can only go from the parent down to the child, and then try to lift state back up. It can be pretty fun. You definitely have to be organized. You definitely have to plan. You can't just like sit down and start, typing out an application without kind of thinking about what it's going to be first. I mean, I guess you can, but that wouldn't be the most efficient way to go. You'd have a lot of refactoring to do. So anyway, it's really cool. I really like it. We've also been getting into some React Router, which is the way that you create the effect of having multiple pages on what's actually a single page site. And so that's pretty easy. There's nothing about React Router that's very complicated. So that just took us like a day or an afternoon to kind of get the hang of that. The next thing we're going to be learning about is Redux, which is basically from my knowledge, I don't really know Redux yet, but from what I've heard, it's basically a really efficient and easy way to manage your state. Kind of puts your state in one location, and you can kind of more easily control it. So I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I'm sure I'll find out really soon. We might even be learning Redux today. So definitely looking forward to that. And then I've been, one of the projects we've been doing this week, I've sort of made it a weekly project for myself. It was just a daily project, but as I like to do, I like to take our projects and run with them and do a lot more with them. So we have this daily assignment of basically taking this NASA API and getting some like Mars rover photos to kind of render to the page. And so that was pretty cool. That didn't take a very long time to get working. But I started kind of messing around with the API, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do with it. For example, you can get images of Earth in different locations. You can get either images, audio, or video of just different things related to NASA in any way. So I built out this site that you can search a term and decide whether you're searching images, audio, or video, and then it'll give you those results. And so, for example, you could type in you could search for moon audio, and you might get an audio clip of an astronaut in space, which is pretty cool. So I think it's fascinating, at least. So anyway, that's been a fun project. Really exciting news is that I got a job. I was offered and accepted a job. It's for a company called Cratebind. They are in North Dallas, and essentially we are going to be building websites for clients. So I'm really, really excited about it. I'm going to be a front-end developer. It's a company of about, I'd say probably 20 to 25 employees. It's 20 right now. I think they're adding, I think I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 people being added to the team. So I'm going to say, it's safe to say somewhere between 20 and 25 employees. I'll be one of 4 front-end developers. This company's been around for about 3 years, and they're just continually growing. And so I think I'm one of 4 front-end developers, and there are 10 Rails developers. So that'll be cool, especially to be on a small team, get to have a lot of experience. I think there's a lot of benefit to that, as opposed to maybe being at a place where it's a company of a couple thousand people where I'm one of many, So there are pros and cons to either of those scenarios, but really excited about working at Cratebind. The main thing, though, that the biggest challenge, I think, is that the majority of my front-end work that requires a JavaScript framework will be using Angular. And Angular is one of the competitors, I guess you could say, of React. Those are definitely the 2 most popular frameworks. There are others. There's Vue, which is another big one. There's Backbone, which was really popular before React came out. But we'll be doing a lot in Angular. Angular was written by Google, and it's definitely some cool stuff. I've been learning both. I've been learning Angular and React right now, and I'm gonna say React is a lot easier. It's maybe because I've done it a little bit longer, but React just makes sense to me. Mostly because I'm pretty much just writing JavaScript, Angular uses TypeScript. The TypeScript part of it's not too bad. There's nothing that I've done with TypeScript and Angular that's been crazy out there that doesn't make sense. So that's fine. This idea of like a strong typed language is fine, where basically like the data type of a variable can't change. That's fine. But there's some things about Angular that are just weird, like some special syntax that you have. And so I don't know. I definitely wouldn't opt for it if I had the choice, but I think I'm going to be doing a lot of Angular. So I'm gonna get good at it. I'm learning a lot right now. I'm pretty much caught up to where I am with React with Angular, almost. The main two things that I can't do with Angular right now, just because I haven't really learned how to do them, is to do like to fetch data from like an API or something with Angular. I've looked into how to do that just a little bit. I know like you got to use like the HTTP module, like you got to import that and then use that. It kind of works like a promise, except you're using like I don't know, there's a different word for it, and a observation or something. I don't remember what it is, but it's a little bit different than a promise. So you have to subscribe to it in Angular, and so I don't know what all that means, but it's very promisey in the way that the syntax sits. So instead of using the word then, you're using the word subscribe. So that's fine. And then the other thing about Angular that, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the other thing about Angular that I don't quite know how to do yet is how to move data from one component to another component. I think it's probably gonna be pretty easy. I think it's just like importing the component and then doing something with that. But those are two things that I'm really comfortable with in React, but haven't figured out in Angular yet. So anyway, that's all. I'm here at the Iron Yard. Thanks for watching. We've got 2 more of these, and then I start my job, and I will have graduated from the Iron Yard 2 weeks from today. All right, see you later.